Today I have a very interesting player for you. This is Needher on the Korean server. He is a Viego mid lane god. I've covered him on the channel before, but today we're going to have a in-depth look into what exactly he is doing and how he's playing. Now, if we look at these stats, a couple of things become apparent, and one of those is that he doesn't really farm a lot and he doesn't really surrender, which is very important because we will be looking at his Viego and we will be looking how he plays, right? And generally, there are a lot of games where you see him just be able to grab solo kills and just know his champion better and just abuse that. And the other thing is, though, that oftentimes you fall behind on Viego mid. And so we will see how exactly he deals with it whenever he falls behind. So with that said, I'll see you guys in the video. Diving back into the rift, here we have the man, the myth, the legend Needher jumping in on the Korean server, and we are going to be spectating a game that has a pretty difficult matchup for him ready. That is going to be the Cassiopeia. All right, that is going to be a very difficult matchup. So let's run over the game as the blue team seems to plan a little bit of an ambush here. We might have a clash in just a bit. But let's run over the matchup. So we have a Sion facing off against a Jax. Then in the bot lane, we have obviously the classic, the goated Pike and Draven lane, which is, you know, the classic, let's say the classic solo queue lane. And then we have a much more stable Varus and Nautilus. So that should go into the blue team's favor here when it comes to stability. However, could be losing early on, as obviously Draven puts on a lot of pressure, but eventually will have difficulties moving. So he needs to snowball if he wants to stay ahead. Now, in the jungle, we have a Lee Sin and a Nidalee. And we're going to discuss what that means here for those two protagonists in the mid lane, because obviously we are going to be looking at the mid lane mainly here in this cast. So, Nidalee always is a bit of a weird champion. She needs good setup by her mid laner, and Needher has quite obvious engage, right? So it can be a little bit difficult to set up, right? If you compare it to something like the Twisted Fate, for example. And we will have... Can we not, please? We will have a very dicey matchup in the mid lane as Needher, one false step and she can chase him down. Cassiopeia with her miasma is able to block that very well. As in the bot lane, we have a little bit of Fiesta. This is obviously important to our mid lane, as first blood over to the Nidalee. Darius goes down. Needher finds the level 2 all-in, which is very important. This is a very good trade by him, where he comes out at a decent health lead here. Also notable that he is running Doran's Shield, right? So when it comes to the runes, he is running Unflinching and Second Wind. Unflinching will give him tenacity. That is super important. And Second Wind will give him that poke resistance, as in the bot lane there is a trade of kills here Pike for the Nautilus. And Needher will try to play around level advantages oftentimes. And then eventually the control mage often, or the battle mage in this case, often gains control of the wave. Beautiful ward here to track Lee Sin's pathing, as that is obviously super important. The control mage or battle mage will eventually gain some ground on him and control of the wave, because in the early parts, your pressure on the wave is actually quite big with Viego. And you do heal whenever you hit something that you've tagged with an ability. So Q into the wave, and then 3 auto attacks. It gets you, good amount of healing early on. That can be very difficult to deal with. As he finds a beautiful W angle here, jumps onto the Cassiopeia, who now has to be a little bit careful as Nidalee comes through. Cassiopeia stacking her Conqueror, trying to max it out, but she will go down as Pike picks up the counter trade here. Needher now in a lot of trouble. Uses W beautifully late, but he will go down eventually anyhow. And this now is a absolute disaster for Needher. He doesn't have teleport, so he's going to miss everything. Decides to go for the boots here. No healing potions available for him. As he does pick up one more healing potion and a longsword, which is okay for him, but it is still a difficult situation. Note that he did not go for something like a cull, which would have probably been more of my choice. I often go cull in these difficult lanes. However, the thing is here that he will be able to dodge more Qs with his movement, and also will be able to gap close onto the Cassiopeia. Early boots purchases can give you a good advantage over Cassiopeia, who can't really control her movement speed. Right, so early tier 2 boots especially can put you into a very good situation here. The bot lane, very strong setup for the Nidalee. Nidalee lands some good spears, but the pike hook comes through. Now Nautilus in a lot of trouble. A lot of damage available here, but as Cassiopeia roams, now there is a decided advantage here for the red team, and they will pick up a double and need her. On that outside track on the roam, obviously can't really do too much there. Can't really follow, can't really do anything about it, so he does push out. He did do that a little bit too late. He could have made that decision a little bit earlier, but he was trying to kind of follow and see what Cassiopeia was doing. Yeah, beautifully. He moves in here and tells Cassiopeia, you better take the safe way around. Cassiopeia does end up taking the safe way around. We will find a ward here and clear it. That's a good little infusion in gold as Nidalee now. Yeah, you cannot steal that camp away, as Lee Sin is on her case. We'll take the Scuttle Crab for that, though. That means double Scuttle here for the Nidalee, which is pretty good. And need her will be level 5. And this is a very, very pivotal part of the lane. And we will see how exactly he deals with it, because it is very difficult to step up to a Cassiopeia, as you can see. So, he stays in range to get the XP, right? And he minimizes his exposure to her. And this is super important if you're playing these melee matchups that are pretty weak early. You have to be cognizant of what the enemy can do to you and why you shouldn't risk anything. Early ultimate and will not pick up the kill onto the Lee Sin. Absolute fiesta here as they try to fight a 2v3. That is really unfortunate. As yeah, he will not be able to pick up a kill here onto the Lee Sin. Now even more ahead, and we are going to see how exactly he plans to claw himself back, because if one champion snowballs hard, then it is going to be the Cassiopeia. By the way, while we have a little bit of downtime, let me remind you that my channel is super small. So if you want to support me, I would gladly take that subscription so you can see more of my videos. You know, you can tick the bell as well if you're into that. Also, if you really want to help me out, sharing my video, that actually gets the algorithm real excited about me. So that is also a great way to help out. Sion, on some Baus shenanigans, will be able to bully out the top lane here as Nidalee Spear will not hit, unfortunately, Cassiopeia. Late on that roam, need her. Little bit faster, however, need her also. Not, you know, he's not that strong in these fights versus the Cassiopeia in the jungle, as she can just control with her miasma, just easily control the choke points that would exist like here, something like that, right? So you have to be very careful. And you see that he is playing very respectful. He's dropping behind in CS, which is to be expected given the fact that he has fallen behind, right? And he is just giving his best to kind of pick up all the farm that he can, as Cassiopeia looking at the bot lane instead of trying to bully him, which is definitely good for him. Cassiopeia will be moving away again, placed her control ward here for a little bit of additional vision, and you see that he doesn't immediately push out the wave. He drops his fog, he looks for Cassiopeia, he sees, okay, now I can do a little bit of damage, pick me up the most important gold. And this is, as a Viego, something that you have to understand is, what are the minions that are actually worth it losing HP for? Usually caster minions, not so much. Melee minions, most definitely. And so if you can do that, as you can see, need her. Still full life. He's going to be pushing out here. Has the fog as a little bit of a safety mechanism for a potential gank. As the miasma comes out, instant Q. And that is exactly what makes Cassiopeia such a difficult matchup. He might just try to Q in and then W out, or WQ, depending on what Cassiopeia forces him to do. So here, yeah, Qs and then Ws out. You can also QW, to increase your Q's range, but then obviously you can't really dodge things. As Nautilus is quite the unit to be dove, so a little bit scary, but yeah, he did overextend himself a little bit there as Lee Sin will be forced to flash, but that is another kill here over to the Draven. Looking very, very bad here for the blue team. And I was, you know, I looked at the game and I figured that could be a good replay, and it definitely looks like a difficult match for a Viego to win. So we will see exactly how this guy pulls it out, because if someone can pull it out, then it is going to be him on the mid lane Viego, obviously. I've seen a couple of Chovy games. If that guy would play it, he would probably be also able to pull it out, as we've had this discussion multiple times on this channel at this point, is who's better than an OTP? A pro gamer. So usually, while they are lacking the specific champion-specific knowledge, right, it is often going to be that pro players just have such a better grasp on the game. It's Cassiopeia. Very slowly just farming it up and trying to just grab the CS that she needs to, as yeah, okay, the trigger has been pulled. I wonder whether or not that is the wisest decision here, as she will push out, use a lot of mana, and you see him prepare the minions so he can CS them. Going pickaxe and the vampiric scepter, that is usually better than going for attack speed early on. The recurve bow is a little bit of a bait item. You can see some people go for that early on, and on Viego it's definitely not the best. Viego will push out this wave, and see that wasn't most optimal here by Cassiopeia. She will get a recall into her Rod of Ages. Little bit late on the wave, which is unfortunate, makes her miss some CS. And Viego now has the priority on the roam here. Will try to respond to the gank by Lee Sin. Charges the W, but Lee Sin decides to move away. Question mark pings coming out of Cassiopeia, as they know that Viego is around. But Viego will still try to do something here, as the ultimate connects with Pyke, and the Q does as well. That is Pyke going down, and now the reset has been acquired, which means we can pull in the Draven. Immediate ultimate out, and now we have a Draven at our disposal. Lee Sin will make his way out as Cassiopeia picks up another plate here in the mid lane. The first plate actually wasn't picked up by her. That just went down to the minions, as Nidra will just recall, as the cannon wave is probably one of the waves that will take most of the punishment of the turret. However, yeah, he's forced to stop his recall, and that means that he will lose this entire wave, which is a huge downside of that roam, is that Cassio, he will come back to the lane, and Cassio will be very strong. As actually, never mind, we are working on killing Lee Sin. Well, we managed to kill Lee Sin, and now are trying to kill the Pyke as well. Pyke is picked up, gets himself to safety with his ultimate again. As you can see that it just takes a couple of kills. Even if you're behind, it just takes a couple of kills and patience for you to come back into the game. And so, as a Viego specifically, it makes a lot of sense that he doesn't surrender almost ever. So it's like the FF chance for him is 15% statistically, where other challenger players have 43% surrender chance, right? Which is pretty gross. And yeah, he's gonna surrender very few times, because he just knows that it just takes a couple of things and the enemy all of the sudden has farmed to his benefit and not to their benefit, right? As Viego will be moving into the bottom lane here, once again try to pick up a kill onto the Draven, but is not available, unfortunately. Pyke now scouting ahead in the jungle with Lee Sin moving in as a unit. They will be stealing away that red buff most likely. But the Varus, this trap has been sprung, as Lee Sin will get himself to safety. Nidalee here overextending and will be taken down, and so the red buff is protected. However, Nidalee still goes down, so that is absolutely not a W here for the blue team. And Cassiopeia in these chokes, I told you before, is absolutely scary, as she is going to flash over and not get anything from it. Heal used by Varus to get himself to safety here, as Nidra is just lurking and sitting around these angles. This is something that you'll see him do quite a bit, as he'll just sit in that fog and eventually pop out, but only in the opportune moment. Something that is super important, as the pain train has been blown. The whistle of the pain train has been blown here. The top lane, nothing really is happening, to be honest, as the ultimate comes out of Cassiopeia, which opens up a little bit of a window, but we lost so much HP here. that, oh my god, and this Jax is still alive. So a sign though. As this opens up potentially a window, but given the fact that she already has a Kindle Gem and the Rod of Ages, it is going to be very difficult to find lethal on her, even though she did use her ultimate. Excuse me. So, let's take a little bit of inventory. Blade of the Ruin King available here for Viego. This is super important, this item, and we see him dirty farm a little bit. That is kind of weird. Or is he actually just using the... I think he's actually using his passive. Yeah, he's using his Q passive to restore HP here. Which is a very, very neat move. I thought about this, but I figured that the chems would do more damage. But maybe not, actually. Very interesting as the fog comes out. Immediately putting... Oh, the W now has to come in and save as the Q was missed. Viego finds an all-in here onto the Cassiopeia. And you see how the cooldown-based fighting of these challenger players always nets them a safe opportunity to go in and fight. They wait for the enemy to miss their spell. This is what you need to do on things like the Akali, on the Kiana, on the Viego, on all of these melee, well, call it assassin fighters, you know, something like that. On these melees, to kind of just wait and you just move in, you pretend you would auto attack, and then the enemy blows a spell at it, you dodge it, you go in for the auto attack, or you actually start to engage on them. And with Viego, it's pretty much always the W, right? So if you hit your W, a little bit similar to like Akali with her E, right? If you hit that W, you have a decent chance at doing something. But if you don't, then you are really screwed, which is very, very difficult to deal with. All right, shutdown onto the, well, shutdown, Pike execute. That's what I wanted to say here onto the Scion as, ooh, Pike will be taken down here by Viego, but the ultimate skirmish of Cassiopeia is way too strong as he will use the Pike to heal himself up, the Pike passive. And he did manage to kind of enter the fight again, but the fight had evolved a little bit too far for him to get any resets. But you see how very important on Viego it is that you know the champion's kit and you use them to the full extent. And this is exactly why I would suggest people to not play Viego in the lower elos unless they are someone who is a little bit of a jack of all trades. And you have to understand that then climbing will be a little bit more difficult. You will be, you know, you will be getting better at the game knowledge-wise, but the climbing might take a little bit longer if you take that jack of all trades path, I guess. As we will just solo the Herald here. Honestly, not a bad call. Pretty smart call as he will be sticking around here for the fights. This is something that you see him do a lot. This is exactly what he does. Is he just sticks around for fights and tries to do something as oh, beautiful flash out of Lee Sin, dodging that Viego ultimate here. Almost, Nidor almost picking up a Lee Sin, and that could have snowballed very heavily. Also, 300 gold bonus there. Would have been absolutely huge. 650 over to the Viego. You do not want that to happen. And with the Noon Quiver, you see that he is also building him a little bit different. This is a trend that I've picked up from most of the Viego players, to be perfectly honest. And that is going to be that a Viego player that is the rank 1, he's never building anything but Kraken Slayer. Now, I personally am under the belief that Gale Force also very, very good item on Viego. But, you know, I have to do my testing with it. It definitely works right now for me in the climb, and, you know, I'll keep you updated. If you're interested in that, head on over to Ashen GG on Twitch. That is going to be where I, you know, test a lot of that out. And, 200 gold shutdown now on him. This is very scary facing off against the Jax. You don't really have a chance against Jax as Viego. Yeah, you can't really do too much. So, yeah, together with Nautilus, maybe. But even together with Nautilus, it could still become a very dicey fight. Ultimate here available for the Jax, so that is difficult. Beautiful hook. Counter-Strike comes out. The Ignite on the Jax, a little bit preemptive, as you want to Ignite a little bit later, but yeah. Jax will just be taken down here. Ooh, beautiful W. Even though he got hooked out, he still catches the Jax, and that is very important. As Nidor will be trying to, yeah, hit that ultimate here onto the Jax. Now Pyke still staying around, which means that Draven is also close. The hook lands onto the Pyke, and Pyke will get himself to safety. Counter-Strike was not able to stun the Pyke, as Nidhur is waiting for an opportune moment. Can't quite blow up the Pyke in front of Draven. He's gonna try though now. He will pick it up together with the Nidalee, as the Q will be missed, unfortunately. He's over the wall now, is in a little bit of trouble, using the Pyke passive to stay healthy here and threaten something, waiting for his team, as another hook goes into the Draven, and that is going to be Draven going the hell down to the Viego, which is rough. Now Herald is summoned, and that means that this turret is not long for this world, as Lee Sin and Cassiopeia, as scary as they might be, will probably not be able to do much. The kick into the Cassio, beautiful play here by the Lee Sin though, will secure a kill onto the Viego as the tower goes down, but the entire blue team will go with it, as it seems. Nidalee might make her way out, depends. Lee Sin is very mobile, obviously, and then there is a Pyke in the backhand. But might get herself to safety. Nope, will definitely not get herself to safety, as the Pyke ult will catch her out on the trying to escape over the wall. On the wall hop is what I wanted to say, but, you know, language is difficult, as you probably know. And also, by the way, I would like your input, how you like this, whether or not you like the big talking head, or whether or not you like the little bit smoother, just Ashen Casts logo anywhere. I'm not 100% sure what of those two I like. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, because casting is a very difficult thing as is, right? Just talking a lot, understanding what is going on as well, predicting what will happen, things like this is very important to be super focused. And then sometimes, you know, I let go of my face and I just look very weird. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sure whether or not I like this. But, you know, I wanted to test it out, as my girlfriend did suggest that that could be a good idea. Flash onto the Cassiopeia will stun her, but the ultimate will stun everyone else. Nidhur now picks up Cassiopeia, but not a lot of HP here available for him, as the Seraph Embrace could technically proc, I believe, here. And I think it will not, though, as he uses the ultimate here to go onto the Baron. And yeah, just better jump out here, Nidalee. Don't risk too much. Lee Sin is still available here for the steal, so still a scary situation here. Sion fighting to his end to prevent a potential steal. He will be bullying out the Lee Sin. Lee Sin now is forced to jump in and will be taken down, so the Baron should be secured by Nidalee. Yes, she will take it, as Lee Sin is available here for the Viego and now the Draven as well, which makes for a very, very strong... Ooh, a good timed E could have stopped Jax from jumping there, but we decided to play it safer as Nidhur, and that means that Jax will be able to get out. You see those crits coming out here out of the Viego. Still doesn't really have his item assembled, but it is going to be a Kraken Slayer here for the Viego, who will be just, you know, sitting back in the fights, not really instigating anything, sitting back and just dealing maximum damage. Now, the reason why I like Gale Force is actually is actually kind of weird, but oftentimes I find myself in the need to win games that are very, very difficult, right? With very, very difficult and just fiesta replay. And I found that Gale Force can give me a little bit more reliable ways to outplay enemies. Now, in the higher ranks, the game becomes a little bit more stat checky, as people are mechanically very apt. So outplaying them is a little bit more difficult, right? However, I have found that Gale Force works super great for me. So Kraken Slayer and the Blade of the Rune King is available here, 6, 3, and 8, and you can't really see anymore how bad this start was, but he was 0 and 2, and I think a lot of us would have just crumbled. But I think some of the very, very important mistakes here made by Cassiopeia was trying to snowball that bot lane and just not really bullying out Nidhur enough, as Cassiopeia can be very, very scary in the landing phase here, as Sion doesn't really care about being hooked. Now he's just, you know, getting off his Demolish proc a little bit quicker, but this guy does care about being hooked. Yeah, Varus just goes down here as Viego. Yeah, this is the classic mid-game team fight. 20 to 30 minutes, you are absolutely at the mercy of the enemy CC. Kind of unfortunate situation here for Nidhur, as he will just be kicked and just CC'd for ages. as this fight is a beautiful front-to-back fight for Cassiopeia, so she can pump out a lot of damage here onto the Sion, but Sion incredibly tanky. Nidalee finds the all-in here on to the Draven, as Draven will be going down. Jax now available, and he will be able to stop the Sion unless he uses his Counter-Strike poorly, but so far it looks like the Nautilus will be the one who is focused down for now, as Jax, he hasn't had enough, where Cassiopeia obviously clearly moved away. She had enough. Jax doesn't really have enough, as a trap is being set here by the Cassiopeia. Q will find the Sion, as Jax will be taken down here by the Nidalee. And now the fight has been going on for 5 minutes. It feels like I've been going through this fight for way too long, but eventually the fight will dissolve with the Jax being taken down once again. Cassiopeia doing a very solid job here, just dishing out loads of damage. But here now we're going for Seeker's Arm Guard. And yeah, this is going to be the Zhonya's Aura Glass. This is very difficult for Viego to deal with, as he will get for himself a Pickaxe and a Chain Vest, which Pickaxe and Chain Vest are generally leading into one item and one item only. That is going to be the Death Stance here, available for the Viego in the coming future. He's going to have to collect another Pickaxe for himself, as the horn has been tooted, and that is Draven just going down. Goodbye. Goodbye. Alright, well, Dragon is going to be very, very in favor here of the blue team, as obviously the AD carry of the red team has gone down to a Sion ult, which, you know, Sion ult can be a little hit or miss. So, not Sion's most strong ability, probably. The passive is probably that one. As, yeah, that is going to be an absolute wash here. Varus picks up 2 kills here, as Unidher catches out the Pike, but almost goes down. As Cassiopeia doing her best to chase around, and you see her beautiful transitioning simultaneous stopwatches. I love to see it, as yeah, we will take down the Cassiopeia eventually, but at the cost of the Nautilus. Not a bad trade at all, as now there is the Pike and the Draven available once again. Nidalee is still available, so she will probably be able to secure that dragon for herself. Because, believe it or not, like, you know, it is a Draven, but Draven isn't almighty. He's not going to be able to stop this. Yeah, as Nidalee picks up a kill onto the dragon here. Neither will make his way probably to the top side here, as he will be encountering Jax over there, I would assume. No, makes his way into the jungle, trying to dirty farm, pick up some CS. Lane state in the top lane, kind of questionable, so I would have loved him going there and trying to fix it. However, obviously for someone like Jax, it is always something that you could, you know, sit here and just try to catch out the Viego. Jax now will be clearing out the Krugs as well, waiting for the wave to push into a little bit of a safer spot. Neither. He doesn't have the money for Death Stance, I would assume, so he just stays on the map. And this is something that is very important on a lot of these champions, right? That can regenerate HP by clearing camps and regenerate HP generally by pushing. Something like the Aurelia and things like that. If you watch a Chovy replay, you see him do that perfectly. Is you would just stay on the map if there's just small item advantage available. Just stay on the map. Doesn't really matter, especially on Viego. Items don't nearly matter as much as you would think, because oftentimes if the fight goes correctly, and here the fight, you know, is definitely in favor of Viego's team at this point, the most important thing that you can do is possess an enemy. As Jack's playing it very safe here, kind of looking out for the guys, but takes his time to push at the perfectly wrong spot. Will teleport in to regroup with his team. Nidalee Spear will find him, reveal him, and show them that he got the hell out. Varus and Viego need to be a little bit careful here. Yeah, Lee Sin kick could be scary, as the Lee Sin kick will interrupt the Nautilus, but now Lee Sin just will fall and give Viego a Lee Sin to work with, which is a very useful one, as Pike also someone who can't die to a Viego, otherwise you have a very, very scary situation. Viego will be picking up here the Jackson. The Counter-Strike will come through, as he will trade himself for the Pike. That means that Cassiopeia is still alive. The Sion Q is strong enough to just zone away the enemy team, but that wasn't the best fight, and that is exactly what I'm talking about, with Cassiopeia just having so much control of these chokes, right? That even with Lee Sin going down early, the fight still ended up being a rather close fight, which would be an advantage here for the red team, as you would consider them to be pretty behind at this point. Ooh, ultimate will catch out the Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia goes golden. The Q will catch her, but Nidalee can't really do too much. Nidalee working on the Draven now. Will catch him out with a beautiful Zionya. Right as she was about to die. As the spear comes out, zoning away the Cassiopeia, and Sion will use that time to flash away and save his life. Sion with a Jack Show and Thornmail and Frozen Heart. Absolute unit. As the kick comes out onto the Varus, Varus will just go down. Pyke ultimate secures the kill. As Nidalee will now be chasing down the Lee Sin here, but Pyke and Cassiopeia are still available, so you have to be very careful with this. As Needher is now laying chase, Lee Sin gets over the wall, gets himself to safety. Needher now menacingly walking towards Cassiopeia because of lack of abilities. Will take her down eventually. The miasma onto himself, but no ultimate available. Barely gets out, but gets ignited and will go down here to the Pyke, who picks up a kill. Sion now has to get the hell out of there. If Sion just goes down here, this could be a very, very scary prospect for the blue team. As Varus still not available. Sion, I think, has signed his death warrant now. He knows it is not going to go very well. So he just does proc his passive, as the Pyke will pick up a kill onto the Nautilus and just run down whoever is close. Try to clear waves. Try to do anything useful in this passive. Obviously, with Jaksho, you're not going to be crazy strong. As Lee Sin now starting the Baron. It is a back and forth. These teams are head to head in the fight, as Varus Flash now available. And Nidalee says, next time you get hooked, use it. Son, as the Baron here goes over to actually Draven. Out of all people, no really any need to smite. As Soul Point still looming on the horizon here for the blue team as well. I mean, Soul Point for the red team, looming on the horizon for the blue team. So that one is coming up very, very soon, actually. It's marching towards them with scary velocity, as Needher will be trying to push this in, has the Death Stance available now. Another pickaxe means, together with the Null Magic Mantle, means that we are planning to get ourselves a... I forgot what the item name is. It's so depressing. It's the magic auto attack item. It is what it is. As Lee Sin will secure the... Ooh, that is a nasty dragon. Will secure the mountain here. Mountain on a Jax is absolutely not what you want. Wits End is, by the way, the name of the item. I find it very interesting that he doesn't go Black Cleaver here. I think that Black Cleaver would be the superior item, as everyone will be having so much base armor now that the Black Cleaver is very, very strong, as well as Black Cleaver just being buffed and super strong on Viego, as you proc it in seconds. Yeah, with Black Cleaver you would have done probably half-life of the Jax there, which is, you know, little... Yeah, the Sion ult being hit and miss. This is exactly what I was talking about. Viego trying to get the stun here. But that is very, very difficult, as Varus Flash now on cooldown. Nidalee. Angry. Ooh, as... Oh my god, I can't see anything going on, but... It is the Viego just going down. And so is the entire team, which is very, very difficult. And finally, the game is now very, very slightly in favor of the red team, who... I mean, the game being in favor, but they did pick up a huge team fight now, together with Baron. That means that at least an inhibitor and a couple of turrets will be going down, which means now they will be able to solidify a 5k gold-ish lead, unless they are able to finish here. 15 seconds for... Yeah, they might be able to finish. They will be able to finish, most definitely. And that is probably GG. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And stay awesome.